This is the video for the week 3-2 quiz for Comp 202. The first question is to write a function that returns the largest element in a list, and you can use random numbers. So here we're going to populate the class and the main. And next we want to create an array of integers, and we'll call this ints. And we want to initiate this with 100 elements, so we put 100 in the square brackets like that. And we want to create the for loop, so for int I equals 0, I is less than int.length, I++. We have the element at I in the ints array will equal a random number, so math.random. And here, since we know that math.random gives you a value from 0 to 1, we want to multiply this by 100. And to ensure it's an integer, we will cast it as an integer like this. So here in this array, we're populating this array ints with random values. And afterwards, we want to create this new variable, largest. So int largest will equal, and we'll set this equal to the first element in the array ints. So int largest will equal ints 0. And we want to create a for loop to determine the largest element. So for int I equals 0, I is less than int.length, I++. We have that if the element at I is greater than the current largest, we will set this value equal to the largest. So here we're going to go through the array with this for loop and determine and compare values and return the largest value here. And at the end we want to print it, so we have system.out.print largest. And here when we run this, we should see the largest value, 99, in this array of random integers. So that's question 1. Question 2 is to generate an array of size 25 filled with random numbers 0 through 100, and to print that array on one line and its average on the second. So here we have, first we have to import, so import java.util.arrays. Next we create the class. And the main. Next, first step we're going to do is we're going to generate the array of size 25 and print it. So here what we want is an array of integers, and we will again name it ints, and we want to initiate it with 25 elements. And here again we have to create a for loop similar to question 1, where int I equals 0, I is less than int.length, I++. And here we want to make this value at I in the array equal to a math.random. And again, since math.random it goes from 0 through 1, we want to multiply this by 100 and cast this into an integer. So we have this, like that. And to print it, we have to say system.out.println, and the notation is arrays.toString ints. So here, if we run this, we get the array of 25 integers. And so the next step is to print the average on the second line. So what we want to do is first create this variable sum and average and set those both equal to 0. So int sum equal to 0. And we want to keep the precision of average, so we will make this value a double and set that equal to 0. And within this for loop, what we want to do is say sum plus equals the element at I. So here we're saying the sum will equal the old sum plus ints at the element of I inside the ints array. So after that, what we want to do is calculate this average. So what we want to do is set average equal, we want to make this double sum, because sum is currently an integer, and divide this by a double of the int.length. And here we want to print this value, so system.out.print line, and we can say the average is, and print this average value. So here when we run it again, we see the array in the first line, and we see that the average of this array is 45.12. So now to the third question, we want to decrypt this ROT. We want to decrypt this message using the ROT13. So what we want to do is, again, create the class first, and the main. And this is our string, so copy it here and call it string s. Next, we want to create a for loop, so we can go through each element in the string and decrypt it. So we have for int I equals 0, I is less than the length of the string, and I++. And here we say char c equals s dot char at I. So here we are setting the c char value to the char value at I in the string. Next, we want to create two if statements. So if c is greater than or equal to a, this a char, and c is less than or equal to this m char, we want to say that c plus equals 13. So c equals c plus 13, because this is from a to m, so that's the first half of the alphabet. And else we want to work backwards, so else if, so c is greater than or equal to the char n, and c is less than or equal to this char z. We want to say c minus equals 13. So here c equals c minus 13, so we are going backwards. So from n we are moving to the left. From n to z we are moving to the left instead of to the right as we were here in this if statement. And afterwards, what we want to do is, after each iteration of this for loop, we want to print this c. So we want to say system.out.print c, and this is all within the for loop, and we want to run it to see what we get, and we see that the hidden message is computer science is the best major, and that's question 3.